Guys, Marsinkin here, bringing another Dragon Ball Z Dokkan battle video, and so today we're finishing up the three Universe 6 sub-EZAs by looking at Champa here. Now, Champa is in kind of a weird position because just like Beerus and Whis, who obviously don't take part, Champa is not in the Universe Survival Saga category. Doesn't have the Tournament of Power link, right? Obviously, he's not featured in that sort of part of the series as a competitor, so he doesn't get to be on those particular categories, and that does hurt him a little bit because he's a Universe 6 support unit. But when it comes to his 200% leads, the only 200% leads he has is the Int LR Carnival Kid Gohan, because he's on Bond of Master and Disciple, and then the Turles, funnily enough. So he's a Universe 6 support, but he's not on any of the 200% leads for like Universe 6 characters for the most part. So it's a little bit weird. So we're going to use him on the Universe 6 team because that's where really you probably would want to run him. But he is only getting the double 170 leads from Kale. So he does raise defense for one turn on his super as well as do supreme damage. And then he gets defense 160, additional defense 120 when attacking. He gives Universe 6 allies 2 ki and attack and defense 40%. Then he gets an additional attack and defense 20% when HP is 60% or less at the start of the turn. He has a high chance to get attack 400% and a medium chance to get an additional attack 600%. And then he has a rare chance to crit, which I think is only like 10 or 15%, which is a bit weird. So yeah, he's like a floating Universe 6 support unit. Sadly, his best link partners are all like Beerus, Whis, and Vados, who of course, you know, we got Vados here, but the rest of them, not really optimal units to be running him with, or even possible to be running him with on teams like Kale's. So we'll see how we get on. He's not really a slot 1 unit because, of course, he's got 200k defense start of turn. He's going to get 120% on super, as well as his super attack effect. So he's going to go well over 450k defense after he actually attacks. But, you know, there's no... I can't really put Kale in slot 1 on this turn. I don't really want to rely on Vados to dodge. He tanks the normals for double digits, though. This second form frees are obviously not crazy hard hitting. And then we've got 7.3. Now, the interesting thing is, because we have no way to know which parts of his passive proc, we basically just have to keep an eye on the numbers that he's doing throughout the run and see if we can essentially spot which ones are going to be with that extra buff from his passive or not, because he is able to get a pretty significant increase if that full passive activates, but we have no indication of it. So just by that first attack stat, we don't really know whether it was fully active, whether one of them was and not the other one. So we basically just keep an eye on his attack stats as we go. As I say, you're probably going to want to use him mostly as a third slot floating support unit for Kale's team. But I think, to be honest, he's probably not even going to last long in that role, depending on what comes out in the future. Because, you know, we got Bota Magetta, who could be pretty good in slot 1. Then you've got a Kale on both rotations. You've got LR Kale and Caulifla. Tech Kale and Caulifla can still do okay if they get time to stack, same with the LR. And then, of course, STR Kefla could be getting an EZA coming up soon. It's like, if Champa, you know, as soon as we get one support unit that's, like, slightly better suited to the team, like, especially if it is one of the girls, right, then obviously they'll link better with all the other units. As soon as we get a slightly better support unit than him, he's going to be irrelevant to run on the team anyway. So that is a little bit disappointing. And then, of course, you know, you could run him on like a Realm of Gods team with Beerus and Whis and get a lot of his links active, but then he's not going to be supporting any of them. He's still getting the support for himself, but then the problem becomes, if no parts of that passive proc and he's not getting that crazy extra like big bunch of attack, then what is he really doing on that team? Because he's not supporting anyone, because he only supports Universe 6. So if you run him with Beerus and Whis and stuff like that, he's just not really doing much for the team. So definitely could be a little bit awkward. We'll keep him with Vados for now while we can, just to get some of these extra links active here. So yeah, we're still looking at the same. We've got no change in the defense for like the rotation, so there's no surprise there. And then we'll grab these for you. So let's see what we get attack stat wise here now and compare that to the first turn. Give us hopefully some idea of how much of our passive was active. So we got 10 million now. So at least one extra part of the passive is active that wasn't active on the previous turn. So, I mean, if you were to get that turn go off, obviously he's got some extra links active now as well from Vados that he wouldn't have if he was just a third slot floating unit. But, you know, if he's a third slot support and then he drops like a 10 million attack stat, that's pretty good. And then his raw defense, like you say, can get up to nearly 500k. The problem is, as we kind of talked about with Frost, Boa gets away with it a little bit because he has guard, and his defense can get a little bit higher as well. But is he doesn't have any defensive tech outside of just having a decent amount of raw defense. So it means even some of the hardest hitting normals in the game, he won't be tanking for double-digit damage. Like Fusion Zamasu post-super, even if he gets like a double super, he's probably not going to be tanking those for double-digit damage, which is, of course, a little bit disappointing. But, I mean, I guess it's one of those things where he could make a decent floating third slot support unit for this team, but just not really in, like, crazy difficult fights. If we have a tough, like, int boss, the only problem is, if you think about the current meta of the difficult events, the only fight that, like, ends with an int boss is the Goku Black, but he starts off as STR. So I wonder if this Champa, can he even tank like the STR Goku Black's normals? Obviously a super attack is just going to one-shot him. Even if Goku Black was type neutral, because of how hard he hits, he would one-shot Champa. But yeah, considering the first phase is STR, it's definitely going to be risky. Now, you could potentially blitz that first turn with like the Kales and the LR Kale and Caulifla, and then potentially, you know, because he's providing that support, he could be useful to the team and then kind of hold his own a little bit against the Goku Black. But yeah, otherwise I don't know. Like, his slot 1 defense isn't good enough. So obviously here we don't have like a really good setup. So I'm just gonna have to put these guys in slot 1 and hope they dodge. Because we've got Kale coming back around onto this next rotation. So we'll float off Vados here. I mean, Vados obviously not the best unit herself anyway. So a little bit tricky to use her. She's just here for the showcase purposes, right? To give some extra links. Because it's links like godly power and stuff, right? I think I've got the page up here still. So with Vados, we've seen them come up already, right? But he shares Innocence, Shocking Speed, Godly Power, Fierce Battle. When you think about the links that the Saiyan girls have and a lot of the other characters we're going to be running on the Universe 6 team, it's not a lot of those outside of like Fierce Battle. So it's not going to be the best setup for him. He can do a little bit for you as a floating support unit, but other than that, it's not looking too crazy for him, I think. And like I say, once we get... Okay, good. I was going to say, whew, that was probably death there. Yeah, it would have been, like that was. Damn. Yeah, Champa... Whew, this is one of those things, like, he is okay, I guess. I'm trying not to be too harsh on him. I didn't put a sticker on him, actually, before the showcase started, so let me do that quickly. Maybe he'll have the best sticker effect out of the 3, because he does at least have the little, the destruction orb thing in his hand, so let's see. Alright, yeah, so he's got a pretty cool sticker effect, but unfortunately, Champa, pretty mid. Funny that this one ended up being the shortest of the showcases, but the problem is, like I say, we're running Vados just to get some links active for him, but then of course Vados ended up getting us killed. Whereas if we jump into an event and this guy's just going to be there floating in slot 3, like for example, if we go back to our team build here and then we drop off Champa, if I wanted to make, oh sorry, not Champa, if we drop off Vados, and then we probably want to put on, because Vados doesn't count as a Peppy Gal's character, put on you, for example, right? So Tech Caulifla, even against non-Pure Saiyan or Universe Survival Saga allies, enemies, still has a good chance to dodge because of all the other Universe 6 allies and Peppy Gal's allies on the team. So we'd run Boa Magetta slot 1 with a Kale, then we'd run Kale and Caulifla. Obviously, once they've both transformed, they're going to be very solid defensively. We could float Tech, Kale and Caulifla, or the AGL, depending on what we wanted to do. We obviously want to get as many stacks with them as possible. Tech Caulifla can just kind of float around and be in whatever slot we need her to be in. So that leaves Champa to basically be in slot 3 to provide support, which he will do. 40% attack and defense, pretty good. But then, yeah, he's going to have what? Fierce Battle? Do any of them have a Shocking Speed? Do these guys have Shocking Speed when they transform into Kefla. No, they still have prepared for battle. Actually, no, they lose prepared for battle, but they don't have shocking speed. So he doesn't link super well. Because he does at least support with Ki, that helps him to get a super as well, I guess. But yeah, it's not really a good setup for the team, I think. Like, if I was going to run a Universe 6 team to try and beat some of the tougher events, I don't know. The team is not exactly in the best place just by getting these sub-EZAs. But would I bring Champa on the team? Let's see. Who else have we got here? Universe 6. I mean, it's not exactly a great selection. It'll be interesting to see when the STR Kale and this Tech Caulifla do get an EZA. This Int Kale, who's a support for Universe Survival Saga, we ran her in some of the other showcases. I'd probably throw her on there. But even then, like, she's not great. A lot of these units are just very, very outdated now, which is a little bit unfortunate. But anyway, it is what it is. Let me know what you guys think of Physical Champa down below. That's the third final showcase for the 3 Universe 6 characters. I did say I'd put them all on a team and try out one of the more difficult events, so we will do that a little bit later on as well. But let me know your thoughts on Champa down below in the comment section. So that is going to be it for the video, guys. This has been The Masked Ningen. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Check out the links down below for the Discord and the merch store, and I'll see you all again soon. Have a good one.